Chapter 61. Zeno, Great Priest, what happened to you? Oops, just kidding, my apologies, Whis covered his mouth and giggled. Let's leave it at that for now. The Great Priest said, ending the call. Snap. The Great Priest immediately put away his staff. Tap tap tap. At that moment, a small figure came running from not far away, appearing beside the Great Priest and looking up at him with wide eyes. Hey! Great Priest, what's going on? Zeno asked. Do you remember Lila? The Great Priest suddenly asked. Lila? That name sounds familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere before. Zeno scratched his head, muttering softly. The Great Priest remained silent, quietly watching Zeno with his piercing triangular eyes. The Great Priest believed that Zeno would definitely remember. I remember now. Zeno's eyes lit up as he recalled, responding immediately, isn't she the angel of the 18th universe? She said she would perish along with the 18th universe. In the end, she dissipated all her angelic power and vanished with the 18th universe. Yes. The Great Priest nodded lightly. Lila was truly devoted to her 18th universe. Zeno sighed softly, no angel has ever done such a thing before. However, the destruction of the 18th universe was inevitable, and her actions were indeed extreme. The Great Priest sighed slightly. Lila isn't one of your daughters, right? Zeno asked. No, actually, only Korn, Sava, Whis, Kuz, Mark Erida, and Vados are my children in the true sense. The other angels were gods born independently in their respective universes. The Great Priest explained, and Lila was the only angel with yellow skin. Perhaps her unique appearance contributed to her unique personality. Why did you suddenly mention her? Zeno seemed a bit puzzled. Do you remember what Lila said when she disappeared? The Great Priest asked. No, it's been billions of years. I'm not interested in her matters. Zeno shook his head. But I remember. The Great Priest smiled. Zeno was taken aback, looking up at the Great Priest in confusion, not understanding what he was trying to say. Lila said at the moment of her disappearance that she would leave her purest angelic power in a certain universe, waiting for a fated person to resonate with it. The Great Priest sighed. She also said that when the time comes, this fated person might even become a true angel through cultivation. Oh? Now that you mention it, I do have a vague impression of that. Zeno nodded thoughtfully. A brief silence. So, Great Priest, have you found this fated person? Zeno asked, looking up. Yes, currently he is in the 7th universe. The Great Priest pondered. Let him work hard to fulfill Lila's wish. Zeno didn't say much, his expression indifferent. Additionally, there is one more thing. Zeno-sama should be aware of. The Great Priest added. What else? Zeno was taken aback. The vanished 18th universe may be returning. The Great Priest spoke each word with a serious expression. Zeno's eyes widened in surprise. Silence for 3 seconds. Didn't I erase it? Wasn't it completely erased last time? Zeno muttered. Oh my, is that? Lila. The Great Priest suddenly took out his staff, carefully examining the crystal ball on it, his eyes flashing with surprise. Lila. Zeno was slightly taken aback. She might have been reborn. The Great Priest slowly said. In the 7th universe, on Beerus's planet. After ending the call with the Great Priest, Whis thought seriously for a moment and decided to contact Meruz. The oracle fish immediately appeared in front of Whis. Whis, you sold me out, that's not nice. The oracle fish circled Whis's head continuously. Oh my, I didn't say it was you, I just said it was a fish. Whis smiled. What's the difference between saying it was a fish and saying it was me? The oracle fish felt awful. You almost said my name directly. The Great Priest will definitely be angry. The oracle fish huffed at Whis. Oracle fish, don't worry, the Great Priest will never be angry with you. Whis laughed. The oracle fish was slightly taken aback, full of doubt, and asked, why? How could the Great Priest be angry with a fish? Whis sighed lightly. Oracle fish. Are you saying I'm not worthy? The oracle fish became even angrier. Oracle fish, sometimes it's better to keep things unsaid, that's the mark of a good fish. Whis sighed again. The oracle fish felt heartbroken, glaring at Whis, bubbling with anger. Ignoring the oracle fish, Whis thought carefully and immediately contacted Meruz. After ending the call with Whis, Meruz stayed in his room, waiting for Whis's response. Whis brother. Did you ask the great priest? Meruz immediately picked up his staff and used the crystal ball on it to video call Whis. Yes, I have contacted the great priest. Whis nodded. The great priest said that the birth of such a peculiar figure in the universe is quite normal. Meruz. Silence for a long time. That's it? Just one sentence. Meruz felt a bit helpless. The great priest hopes that Mr. Ren can train well and strive to become a true angel as soon as possible. Whis said to Meruz, so, it's time to teach him the true Ultra Instinct. So. Whis brother, are you planning to teach him Ultra Instinct personally? Meruz asked. The great priest asked who among the angels has the best teaching ability. Whis explained, I said Meruz might know better. Meruz, you tell me who has the best teaching ability. If we talk about who has the best teaching ability, it should be Sister Kuz. Meruz thought for a while and mentioned Kuz's name, after all, Sister Kuz is our eldest sister. Well then. Meruz, I'll leave the challenging task to you. Find a way to bring Mr. Ren to Kuz. Whis suggested. Take Mr. Ren to the 10th universe. Meruz was slightly taken aback. Yes, that's the great priest's intention. Whis nodded. Alright, I'll handle my current affairs and then take Ren to the 10th universe. Meruz agreed readily, not objecting. Also, it's best not to let Mr. Ren know about this. According to the great priest, things obtained easily are not cherished and may lead to wasted time. So, don't directly send him to Kuz, find a roundabout way. Let him understand the hardships ahead, to better prepare him for becoming a true angel. Whis said seriously. Meruz was completely speechless. Can't send him directly? Then what can I do? Chapter 62, Meruz's decision. But, how should I do it? Meruz felt a headache coming on. Meruz, for you, this is also a form of training, a way to hone your path to becoming a true angel. Whis said with a smile. So you must find a way to solve this problem. Meruz reluctantly patted his forehead, feeling both amused and helpless. That's how it is, contact me if you have any questions. Whis washed his hands of the situation, leaving the troublesome task to Meruz. Whis brother, there's one more thing, Meruz hurriedly said, it's about Frisia. Frisia? Whis was slightly taken aback. To be precise, it's about Frisia's son, Eyes. Meruz sighed. Oh my, Eyes, Frisia's son. Wasn't he frozen on his home planet? Has he been unfrozen early? Whis asked casually. Yes, after being unfrozen, he seemed to want to attack the Galactic Patrol headquarters, but he ran into Jaco, who had just returned from Earth. On Jaco's spaceship, there was also Mr. Ren and Mr. Broly. Meruz explained the situation in detail. Mr. Broly, who was with Ren, is incredibly strong and literally tore Eyes in half. Now, Eyes is dead, and it's only a matter of time before Frisia finds out. Whis fell silent. A few seconds later. Mr. Broly who is with Ren. Whis muttered softly, poking the crystal ball on his staff with his index finger and gently sliding it to the side. Next, Whis extended his thumb and opened an angle between his thumb and index finger. Immediately, an image of Broly appeared beside the crystal ball. Whis carefully examined Broly and nodded thoughtfully, oh my, this Mr. Broly must be the legendary Super Saiyan that Frisia fears. The legendary Super Saiyan. Meruz was slightly taken aback. No wonder he could defeat Eyes. Whis suddenly understood. The problem is, if I take Ren to the 10th universe, and Frisia attacks our Galactic Patrol headquarters during this time. I'm afraid no one here can stop him. Meruz looked serious. Should we leave Broly behind? Meruz, the Galactic Patrol has always had a good relationship with the Supreme Kai. You might be able to contact the Supreme Kai and ask for his help in dealing with this matter. Whis suggested. After all, over 10 million years ago, the previous Grand Supreme Kai cooperated with the Galactic Patrol. Yes, back then the Grand Supreme Kai sealed Moro and handed him over to us for imprisonment. Meruz's eyes lit up. I know what to do now. I'll find a way to contact the Supreme Kai. You can also take Mr. Ren with you, to broaden his horizons by meeting the Supreme Kai. Whis suggested. I understand. Meruz nodded in agreement. The call ended. Whoosh. Meruz immediately put away his staff and waved his hand in the air towards the door. The angelic power covering the door dissipated instantly. Meruz stepped out of the room and quickly made his way to the control room to inquire with the staff. Have you intercepted any information about Frisia? Meruz asked. Ah, it's Meruz, the staff greeted politely and checked the screen. We are currently monitoring Frisia's spaceship. It seems he hasn't found out about his son's death yet. If he finds out, how long will it take for his spaceship to reach us? Meruz asked. The Frisia force is quite far from our Galactic Patrol headquarters. If they launch a full-scale attack, it would take at least a month. The staff operated the computer for a moment and gave the answer. How long would it take for Frisia's fastest spaceship to get here? Meruz asked another question. At the fastest, it would take 20 days. The staff replied. Thank you. Meruz thanked them, having a rough idea in mind. Although his staff could easily investigate these questions, Meruz chose not to do so. Meruz was here to train with the Galactic Patrol. If he used his angelic staff for everything, there would be no training effect. Meruz thought carefully. It would take about a month for Frisia to launch a full-scale attack. During this month, he could first find the Supreme Kai and ask for his help with Frisia. After all, if Frisia launched a full-scale attack on the Galactic Patrol, it would be quite a headache. Meruz walked briskly towards the dining hall. Entering the dining hall, Meruz immediately saw Ren and Broly feasting. How many days have you not eaten? Jaco was almost in tears. You're not eating food, you're eating my salary. Is it easy for me to earn money? Now with Ren, the two of you have eaten the amount of food for over 40 people. Let's eat this much for today, only about 30% full. Ren smiled. I'm 50% full. Broly patted his belly. Jaco was in tears. I invite you to eat, and you're not even full. The most tragic thing is me. Ren. Meruz waved at Ren in a friendly manner. Meruz, hello. Have you found a solution? Ren politely stood up, looking somewhat expectant. Sorry, I haven't found a suitable solution yet. Meruz shook his head helplessly, looking apologetically at Ren. Does that mean there's no solution? Ren felt disappointed. I may not have a solution, but it doesn't mean others don't. Meruz smiled. Mr. Ren, please get ready. In the next 2 days, I'll take you to someone who might have a solution. If even she doesn't, we'll have to think of another way. Meruz had figured it out. It's about making Ren go through some ups and downs. Don't let him easily get what he wants. Make him cherish the hard-earned training. Training with Sister Kuz. I'll first take him to the Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai can't solve his angelic power problem. Then I'll tell Ren, even a true god can't solve it. It needs to be solved by himself. So, Ren will work harder in his training. Then I'll find a way to lead him to the 10th universe. As long as I use angelic power to guide the spaceship to the 10th universe while Ren and Broly are sleeping, and then create a fake crash landing in the God of Destruction's realm, it'll work. This isn't too difficult. The spaceship crash lands in the God of Destruction's realm in the 10th universe, letting Ren meet Sister Kuz, and my mission will be completed. Where are we going? Ren felt a wave of anticipation. Could it be to see Whis? By the way, there's a new Dragon Ball anime promo called Great Demon, which tells the story after Majin Buu and before Beerus comes to Earth, set to be released next year. Chapter 63, Meruz, do you have siblings? You'll know when we get there, Meruz didn't elaborate. Ren restrained himself from asking further. Where else could it be? Aside from meeting the true angel Whis, Ren couldn't think of anywhere else they might go. I want to bring Broly along, you don't mind, do you? Ren asked Meruz. Of course not, Meruz nodded. If possible, we should depart today, the sooner the better. I'm worried Frisia might attack the Galactic Patrol headquarters at any moment. Alright, let's go immediately, Ren decided without hesitation, naturally agreeing. Ren was even more eager than Meruz. Meeting a true angel could help guide his training and identify any issues, further refining his angelic power. An hour later, Ren and Broly boarded Meruz's spaceship. This time, the Galactic King personally came to see them off. The Galactic King looked like an octopus, with light green skin and a golden crown on his head. The crown was the only clothing the Galactic King wore. In the Dragon Ball world, all intelligent beings that are not gods are collectively referred to as humans, including Frisia, Sal, Majin Buu, etc. The Galactic King kindly held Meruz's hand, his expression solemn, and said earnestly, "Meruz, the future of the Galactic Patrol depends on you." Saying this, the Galactic King glared fiercely at Broly. Broly looked at the Galactic King in confusion. A brief silence. "Octopus?" Broly suddenly asked. "Idiot! That's the Galactic King. Show some respect." Jaco scolded Broly angrily. Broly said nothing, glaring at Jaco with a dark expression. Jaco immediately backed down, hurriedly waving his hands at Broly and forcing a smile. Sorry, just pretend nothing happened." "Are you Broly?" The Galactic King extended a tentacle in greeting. "You're the one who killed Frisia's son, Eyes." Broly grabbed the Galactic King's other tentacle tightly. The Galactic King's face turned red. "Broly? Hey? What's wrong with him?" Tights asked Ren curiously. "I deeply suspect that Broly grabbed his tentacle for urinating," Ren whispered. "Hi." Tights leaned closer to take a look. "Ren, why are you so curious about everything? See anything?" Ren asked. "No," Tights shook her head. "Ahem, that's my urinating tentacle." The Galactic King wiped his sweat. Broly understood and quickly withdrew his hand, wiping it vigorously on Jaco. "Jaco, are you serious? Enough talk, go and come back quickly," the Galactic King sighed repeatedly. "All right, Galactic King, we will set off now. If all goes well, we'll be back in less than a month." Meruz had already calculated the time. As long as they went to the Supreme Kai's realm and reported the situation, the Supreme Kai would likely intervene and prevent Frisia from attacking the Galactic Patrol. Then they could use the remaining time to visit the God of Destruction's realm in the 10th universe. This roundabout trip would solve everything satisfactorily. Ren and the others boarded the spaceship one by one. Tights stayed behind at the Galactic Patrol headquarters to gather more material for her future sci-fi novels. Whoosh! The spaceship took off, leaving a bright trail in the starry sky, quickly departing from the Galactic Patrol headquarters. The spaceship carried only Ren, Meruz, and Broly. Meruz operated the computer for a moment, setting the spaceship on autopilot. "It will take about 6 days to reach our destination," Meruz said. "I look forward to it," Ren nodded, examining Meruz from head to toe. Feeling a bit uneasy under Ren's gaze, Meruz asked, "Mr. Ren, is there something on me?" "No. I just wanted to ask," Ren said. "What do you want to ask?" Meruz was puzzled. "Do you have siblings?" Ren inquired. Meruz was a bit taken aback but answered truthfully, "I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters." "Your sisters must be very beautiful, right?" Ren asked again. "Yes, they are indeed very beautiful," Meruz nodded seriously. "Make sure to introduce your sisters to me sometime," Ren said earnestly. "Meruz, how did you know I was going to take you to meet my sister? You want me to introduce my sister to you? What are you planning?" "All right. I'll introduce them when there's a chance," Meruz smiled helplessly. After all, he was going to introduce Kuz to Ren sooner or later. No matter what Ren intended, let Kuz handle it. By the way, what about Frisia's son Eyes? Just leaving him like that? Ren suddenly thought of something. "The team has already collected Eyes' body and put it back together," Meruz replied. "With glue?" Ren asked. "Meruz. But Frisia will eventually find out, so we have cremated Eyes' body at the Galactic Patrol headquarters," Meruz explained. "It's better not to let Frisia see his son's tragic state." "You're right," Ren nodded slightly, then scolded Broly, "Next time, go easy on them, don't tear people apart." Broly smiled foolishly and nodded vigorously. Days passed. The spaceship traveled through the vast starry sky for 6 days. On this day, Ren suddenly sensed a familiar presence on a nearby planet. "Meruz, can we take a detour and land on that planet?" Ren suddenly asked. "Is there something special about that planet?" Meruz was slightly surprised, looking at Ren in confusion. "I sensed an old friend, I want to say hello," Ren pointed to a green planet in the starry sky. "All right," Meruz didn't object, directing the spaceship towards the green planet. The spaceship made a bright arc in the starry sky, changing its course. On the green planet, Vegeta sat on a wooden stump, holding a freshly roasted leg of a creature that looked like a dinosaur, eating heartily. Nappa and Raditz were not present, as they were cleaning up the battlefield in a distant area. Chapter 64, Vegeta, we meet again. Beep beep. Vegeta suddenly received a power level reading. What? A power level of 10,000. Vegeta immediately stood up from the stump, his expression becoming serious as he looked up into the sky. High above, a strangely shaped spaceship was slowly descending. What is that? Vegeta was slightly taken aback, feeling that this spaceship looked a bit unusual. The power level reading of 10,000 just now came from this spaceship. Who could it be? Whose spaceship is this? It's worth mentioning that although Vegeta's scouter was previously broken, he obtained a new one after reuniting with Nappa and Raditz. For Vegeta, a power level of 10,000 was nothing significant. However, it was enough to make Vegeta take it seriously. Inside the spaceship. Who is that? Maruz looked at Vegeta outside the spaceship and asked curiously. He's the Prince of the Saiyans, Prince Vegeta, Ren explained. I see, we should go down and greet him. It's a basic courtesy, Maruz finally understood and added, I won't go down. Understood, Ren nodded. Creak. The spaceship's hatch opened. Ren and Broly slowly walked out of the spaceship. Maruz stayed on board. This planet appeared relatively primitive, covered in green trees and jungle, with fresh air. The humans on this planet had just gained sentience not long ago, but they possessed considerable power, with power levels of at least 100. If its inhabitants attacked Earth, such a planet would be difficult for Earth to handle. Moreover, this planet had abundant resources. This was why Vegeta and his team were attacking this planet. Only planets with rich resources were worth being requisitioned by Frisia's army. In the sky above the planet, a round moon hung in the green sky, emitting a holy light. Vegeta immediately saw Ren and Broly walking out of the spaceship. TCH, who is it? Isn't that Ren? Vegeta snorted, then fixed his gaze on Broly. This guy is also a Saiyan, no wonder he has such a strong power level. Vegeta, are you alright? Ren asked with concern. Humph, of course. Vegeta snorted. Even without your healing, I can still soar through this universe. See this planet? Nappa, Raditz and I just cleaned it up. Vegeta, I told you to have a peaceful heart, but you still ignored my advice, Ren sighed, shaking his head lightly. Don't joke around, having a peaceful heart is nothing compared to having great power, Vegeta sneered. I told you, I want to become stronger through my own training methods. But you, Ren, why did you come here suddenly? Do you want to join my team? Humph, I need to think about it. Speak politely, that's not respectful. Broly suddenly spoke. Broly had endured long enough. The last time someone was disrespectful to Ren, I beat him badly. This guy dares to shout at Ren, that's outrageous. Now, Broly could say 4 words, which was a significant progress for him. Hearing Broly's words, Vegeta immediately glanced at him coldly, full of contempt. Ren, where did you find this Saiyan with a power level of 10,000? Vegeta laughed. I must admit, you have a knack for finding people. I thought there were only a few of us Saiyans left, but there's another survivor. Humph, if planet Vegeta still existed, this guy would be an elite warrior. Let me introduce him to you, Ren patted Broly's shoulder, signaling him to stay calm, and introduced him to Vegeta, his name is Broly. Broly? That's indeed a Saiyan name, Vegeta nodded slightly. But you, Ren, your name has no Saiyan characteristics at all. By the way, our Saiyan names are generated randomly by a computer. Your name must have been generated when the computer naming system malfunctioned, resulting in such a ridiculous name. Ren, I feel sorry for you. Ren. No wonder my name is different from other Saiyans. It turns out the system malfunctioned. I quite like my current name, Ren said indifferently. A name is just a name. Does having a Saiyan name make you a Saiyan? Besides, I aim to become a divine angel. I should have a godlike name. By the way, was your name randomly generated too? Ren asked Vegeta. Of course not, my name was given after planet Vegeta. Vegeta pointed to his nose with his thumb, looking proud and defiant. After all, I am the most talented warrior among the Saiyans. Naming me after planet Vegeta is the most appropriate. Ha ha ha, Ren, you must regret training in Ultra Instinct. Ren didn't respond. Broly, beside him, was eager, even giving Ren a pleading look. As if saying, let me fight him quickly. Or I'll go crazy. By the way, why did you change spaceships again? Where did you get this one? Vegeta asked Ren curiously. It's not important, Ren replied calmly. What do you mean it's not important? Return my spaceship. You've always been disrespectful to me, the prince. Do you believe I'll beat you up? Vegeta shouted at Ren. Broly scratched his head, getting more anxious. Ren glanced at Broly. Broly's pleading eyes looked at Ren eagerly. Don't hit too hard, and don't tear him in half again. Ren instructed Broly. Broly nodded excitedly, indicating he wouldn't hit too hard. What? You want that guy to attack me? Vegeta laughed. Go ahead. Whoosh. As soon as Vegeta finished speaking, he saw Broly rushing towards him. Vegeta reacted quickly, dodging Broly's attack with a swift move. Continuing to ask for votes, friends with monthly tickets, throw them over. Chapter 65, Broly punches Vegeta. Bang! Vegeta struck fiercely with his palm, hitting Broly on the back and knocking him to the ground. Humph, a power level of 10,000? You think you can challenge the prince? Vegeta sneered contemptuously. Broly. Broly scratched his head and got up from the ground. I underestimated him, I forgot to power up. After standing up, Broly glared angrily at Vegeta. What? With just that power level, you want to challenge the prince? Vegeta scoffed, full of disdain. But you are an elite Saiyan warrior, so I'll play with you and show you what true genius is. Bang! As soon as Vegeta finished speaking, Broly headbutted him in the face. Vegeta felt his nose go numb, and his face ached. Broly slightly increased his power, stretched out his small hand, and pressed it against Vegeta's face. The next moment, Broly slammed Vegeta's head into the ground. Ow! Vegeta's head made intimate contact with the ground. Scrape! Broly, without any politeness, rubbed Vegeta's head furiously against the ground. Vegeta howled in pain and quickly retaliated with a heavy punch to Broly's stomach. Broly's body wavered slightly, but he seemed unbothered, even smiling. What? Vegeta's face changed color. Why didn't my punch affect him? Wait. Power level. What's going on? Why did his power level suddenly rise to 20,000? Am I seeing things? This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Vegeta's eyes widened in disbelief, looking at his scouter. It must be malfunctioning. Bang! Just as Vegeta thought the scouter was malfunctioning, Broly punched him in the chest. Ow! Vegeta's limbs flailed. Smack! Broly grabbed Vegeta's wrist and slammed him around. Vegeta was completely powerless to resist, continually howling in pain. Broly slammed Vegeta around a dozen times before casually tossing him. Vegeta flew through the air in a graceful arc, landing headfirst in a thicket, with only his legs sticking out. What? At that moment, Nappa and Raditz rushed back, just in time to see Vegeta's predicament. Their faces changed repeatedly. Who are you? How dare you attack our prince? Nappa bravely stepped forward, pointing at Broly. Bang! Broly punched Nappa in the face. Nappa flew backwards, rolling several times on the ground, feeling completely numb when he landed. Raditz. Raditz had intended to question Broly too, but seeing Nappa's fate, he shuddered in fear, his young heart deeply scarred. Hey! Ren! Raditz quickly noticed Ren nearby. Broly spotted a stone at his feet and casually kicked it. Bang! The stone flew and hit Raditz in the stomach. Ow! Raditz fell to the ground, clutching his stomach in pain. Vegeta, are you alright? Ren ignored Raditz and walked towards Vegeta. Vegeta! I'm upside down here, what do you think? That guy's name is Broly, right? I won't let him off. I happened to pass by and sensed your presence, so I came to greet you, Ren said to Vegeta. Vegeta didn't respond, glancing at Broly. What are you looking at? Broly spoke. Vegeta. Vegeta looked confused. He said, what are you looking at? Broly instructed. Vegeta. Vegeta didn't want to speak anymore. Boom! Vegeta's energy burst out, destroying the nearby forest. Vegeta righted himself, glaring at Broly in shame and anger. Then, Vegeta looked at his scouter. Power level 10,000? Was I seeing things earlier? His power level is back to 10,000. I must have been seeing things. But just in case, I'll use my true power. Vegeta looked up at the sky. The moon was rising, full and bright. Ren, see that? That's this planet's moon, and it's a full moon tonight. Vegeta laughed. Only a few Saiyans, besides the royal family, retain their reason when transforming into great apes. Your actions have angered me. I'll transform into a great ape and show you true terror. Vegeta stared at the full moon. Broly also looked at the moon in confusion. Don't look at it. He's right, you'll lose your reason. Ren waved his hand in front of Broly's eyes. Broly looked away and scratched his head. Our prince is about to transform into a great ape. What can you do to stop it? Ren asked Broly. Without hesitation, Broly made a tearing motion with his hands. Ren! Don't be so violent. There are many solutions. Ren wiped his sweat. Broly looked at Ren, puzzled. For example, that moon, Ren suggested. Got it, Broly nodded vigorously. Whoosh! In an instant, Broly shot into the sky. Ren! What are you doing? I don't understand your thought process. Roar! Vegeta transformed into a giant black gorilla under the full moon's influence. However, just as Vegeta roared in his great ape form, he noticed Broly flying into the sky. Humph, trying to escape. Vegeta snorted coldly, taking off after him. Vegeta's power level soared to 180,000 as he transformed. Whoosh! Vegeta increased his speed to the maximum, quickly closing the distance with Broly. Broly looked back and saw the giant figure chasing him. His eyes widened in surprise, scratching his head in confusion. Chapter 66, Vegeta, he is the legendary Super Saiyan. As Broly noticed the massive black figure pursuing him, he released a bit more of his energy. Whoosh! Broly sped up, once again widening the distance between himself and Vegeta. The two flew higher and higher, soon piercing through layers of white clouds and soaring into the sky. You can't escape! Vegeta shouted. Dare to provoke the prince? I'll show you the true power of a Saiyan. Vegeta snorted and accelerated again. But as Vegeta flew, he started feeling something was wrong. To his surprise, no matter how much he increased his speed, he couldn't catch up to Broly. What's going on? As Vegeta kept ascending, he noticed the air becoming thinner. Snap! In the next moment, Vegeta was shocked to see Broly breaking through the planet's outer atmosphere and flying into space. Hey, idiot, that's outer space! Are you trying to kill yourself? Vegeta shouted. Broly ignored him and continued to ascend. Vegeta! Vegeta stopped at the atmosphere's edge, not daring to go any further. Because beyond this point was the vacuum of space. Soon, Vegeta saw a bright spot heading straight for the full moon. Boom! With a thunderous noise, Broly punched the moon hard. The moon trembled violently and cracked from the impact. Broly then grabbed the moon's cracks and tore it in half with his bare hands. Vegeta was stunned, his eyes wide with shock, unable to utter a word. As the moon split in half, the Blutz waves it emitted dissipated instantly. Swish! Vegeta's body abruptly shrank back to normal size. This, Vegeta was speechless with shock. He punched the moon into two halves? Is this a joke? Your methods are too bizarre. Vegeta was utterly dumbfounded, staring at the halved moon with infinite shock in his eyes. Whoosh! Broly dived from the sky, quickly closing the distance with Vegeta. No, no good. Vegeta's face changed repeatedly, breaking out in a cold sweat. Whoosh! But Broly had no intention of attacking Vegeta, instead zooming past him. Broly's speed created such strong wind pressure that Vegeta was sent tumbling through the air several times. Only after Vegeta gathered his energy did he manage to stabilize himself. Huff, huff, huff. Vegeta panted heavily, his face pale. Who is this guy? Is he really a Saiyan? I've never seen such an unbelievable Saiyan. Vegeta glanced down and saw Broly landing beside Ren. Smack! Broly landed gently, grinned at Ren, and pointed at the moon he had torn apart. Ren! Ren covered his face, speechless. I told you to attack the moon, and you did. But your method was unexpected. Hehe, I ripped it, Broly smiled brightly. In the spaceship, Meruz also covered his face, feeling a mix of amusement and frustration. Your method is really strange. A simple energy blast could have solved the problem, but you had to tear the moon apart. Meruz now understood how desperate Frisia's son must have felt when Broly tore him in half. He truly is the legendary Super Saiyan. Always breaking the rules. Whoosh! Vegeta quickly descended, staring at Broly in shock, unable to speak. After a long silence, Vegeta finally pointed at Broly and asked Ren, who is he? Vegeta, do you remember what Shenron said about ordinary Super Saiyans and the legendary Super Saiyan? Ren asked. Vegeta suddenly had a bad feeling. That's right, he is the legendary Super Saiyan, Ren smiled. You mean the legendary Super Saiyan? Vegeta was stunned, staring at Broly in disbelief. Yes. Ren nodded. That's it. Broly chuckled, his body suddenly emitting golden light. Snap! Broly's hair stood up. Swish! But quickly, Broly's hair returned to normal, and he shook off the golden light, shaking his head vigorously. Not transforming, easy to lose control, Broly muttered. Vegeta! Ren! Vegeta, what I'm trying to tell you is, no matter how hard you try, you're nothing compared to true talent, Ren sighed. Work hard and try to prove me wrong. Vegeta was speechless. Let's go. Ren patted Broly's shoulder, signaling him. Okay. Broly nodded obediently. Ren and Broly turned to leave. Before leaving, Broly turned back and threatened Vegeta, next time, be disrespectful to Ren. I'll beat you. Ren and Broly boarded the spaceship. Meruz. Meruz was speechless. I thought you'd have a proper reunion with your fellow Saiyan. But you just showed off Broly? Meruz didn't comment, immediately pressing the spaceship's launch button. Whoosh! The spaceship took off, breaking through the atmosphere and entering the vast starry sky. That was fun. Broly clapped his hands excitedly. Meruz looked at Broly deeply. At that moment, Meruz realized that this legendary Super Saiyan had the makings of a god of destruction. Is Ren grooming a future god of destruction? I haven't even thought about that yet. And he's already training a god of destruction? Meruz felt conflicted. Boom! As Ren's spaceship left the green planet, flames suddenly erupted on the planet's surface, creating a spectacular firework display in the deep space, captivating and mesmerizing. Thanks for the votes, everyone. By the way, do you still have more votes today? I noticed that the new book ranking grows quickly with votes. Could you help me reach the top 10 of the new book ranking? I believe in you. Chapter 67, Entering the Sacred World of the Ka. That planet must have been destroyed by Vegeta. Meruz wiped his brow. What a fiery temper. It's just a lost fight, no need to take it out on the planet. And you destroyed the planet, can you survive in space? On the green planet, Vegeta had just unleashed a large energy blast, hurling it onto the planet's surface. The powerful blast penetrated the surface, reaching the planet's core and destroying it. Nearby, Raditz and Nappa were trembling in fear. Seeing the planet ablaze, Nappa exclaimed, Prince Vegeta, we need to get to the spaceship and leave now. Yes, we can't survive in space. If the planet explodes, we'll die. This is madness. Raditz said in a mix of laughter and tears. The two quickly flew towards the spaceship. Vegeta snorted, following them unhurriedly. As they flew towards the spaceship, intense light erupted from the ground, spewing out hot magma. Vegeta easily dodged the magma. Raditz, with the lowest power level, was hit several times by the magma, crying out in pain. The smell of burnt flesh filled the air. Raditz felt like dying. If our spaceship is destroyed because of this, it will be a tragedy. The three quickly reached the spaceship. Vegeta casually stepped into the spherical mini-spaceship. Whoosh! 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 Their spaceships rapidly took off, entering the vast starry sky. Just about 10 seconds after they left. Boom! The entire green planet exploded, creating a brilliant display in the starry sky. Earth. Capsule Corporation Headquarters. Dr. Brief dismantled Ren's spaceship, noticing a device that looked like a communicator. What's this? Looks like a communicator with a tracking function, Dr. Brief muttered, examining it closely. It's broken, looks like it was deliberately destroyed. After a brief hesitation. Forget it, I won't fix it. Maybe Ren destroyed it on purpose to avoid being tracked. Dr. Brief said to himself, throwing the communicator into the trash can. After studying the spaceship for a while, Dr. Brief went out to look for some materials. As soon as he left, Bulma, humming a kindergarten graduation song, entered her father's lab. Bulma carefully examined the spaceship and gently touched it. Hey, Ren, I made you that ring, when are you coming back? Bulma spoke to the spaceship. But the spaceship remained silent. Humph, going to other planets without me, I hate you. Bulma pouted angrily. Ta-da! 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 Bulma ran outside, passing by the trash can. She stopped, her eyes sparkling, and looked at the strange part in the trash can. Out of curiosity, Bulma picked up the communicator part and poked it with a screwdriver. Feels like a communicator. Maybe I can contact Ren if I fix it. Bulma muttered, carefully dismantling the communicator. At that moment, Dr. Brief walked back in and glanced at Bulma's hands. Bulma, did you pick up that communicator from the trash? Dr. Brief adjusted his glasses. Yes, Dad, it's a communicator. If I fix it, can I contact Ren? Bulma asked. You can fix the communicator, but don't mess with the tracking system to avoid precise tracking, Dr. Brief warned, looking at the plans on the table. Precise tracking, Bulma pondered. The tracking system seems deliberately damaged. Maybe Ren doesn't want someone to find him, Dr. Brief explained. Got it, Bulma nodded vigorously. If I only fix the communication system, it won't track him, right? Hard to say. Your voice needs to be transmitted via signal. Unless you send a fake location, you might attract dangerous aliens, better not fix it. Dr. Brief sipped his tea, adjusting his glasses, and continued studying the spaceship. As long as I send a fake location signal. Bulma scratched her head thoughtfully. If you fix it, let me check before using it, Dr. Brief put down his teacup. I'll try, Bulma nodded. In the vast cosmos. Meruz stood alone in a single room. Snap! Raising his hand, Meruz summoned an angel's staff. The next moment, Meruz lifted the staff high. Swish! The staff emitted a radiant star-like light. The light quickly enveloped the medium-sized spaceship. Whoosh! The spaceship swiftly pierced through space, flickering a few times before appearing in the sacred world of the Kai. With that move, Meruz had successfully transported the spaceship from space into the divine realm. Ahead lay the planet where the Supreme Kai resided. Meruz sighed in relief, retracting his staff. Outside. Broly turned to look out the window, scratching his head as he noticed the change in the outside world. Ren also stared intently at the outside world. He felt the world change and sensed the powerful angelic energy Meruz had just released. As expected of a trainee angel. I'm still far from that level. So, I'm about to meet Whis? Ren felt excited and expectant. Vados, wait for me. When I become an angel, I'll come to marry you. Ren glanced ahead, suddenly noticing a distant planet appearing in the spaceship's path. He was slightly puzzled. Where is the triangular planet? And this planet looks familiar, like I've seen it somewhere before. Where is Meruz taking me? Are we not going to Beerus's planet? Chapter 68, I thought you were taking me to see Whis. Click. Meruz opened the door and stepped out of his room. Ren, this is the sacred world of the Kai. Meruz explained. In a bit, I'll take you to see someone. He is the greatest deity in our universe. Ren. Aren't we supposed to meet Whis? The greatest deity, could it be the Supreme Kai? He is the Supreme Kai, Meruz said with a serious expression. Ren. It really is the Supreme Kai. Why are you taking me to see the Supreme Kai? Ren was speechless. Is there a problem? Meruz asked, noticing Ren's odd expression. Can the Supreme Kai help me purify my angelic power? Ren asked. Well, maybe, Meruz replied with an awkward smile. I thought you were taking me to see Whis. Ren shook his head. Whis said he couldn't solve your problem of impure angelic power, Meruz explained. So I'm taking you to meet the greatest deity in our universe. Maybe he can help. Is the Supreme Kai greater than an angel? Ren asked, looking at Meruz. Yes, the Supreme Kai is the greatest deity in the universe, no doubt about it, Meruz replied, emphasizing again. Ren. You speak so convincingly that someone who doesn't know better might believe you. Ren knew that angels tended to be more low-key. But what Meruz said wasn't entirely without reason. The Supreme Kai is indeed the greatest deity in each universe. Why is he called the greatest deity? Because the Supreme Kai is a creator god, and calling a creator god the greatest deity is not an exaggeration. After all, many lives in the universe were created by the Supreme Kai. This is the greatness of the Supreme Kai. However, this doesn't mean Ren wants to become a Supreme Kai. Ren's ultimate goal is to become a true angel. It's worth mentioning that despite being the greatest deity, the Supreme Kai has a limited lifespan. The Supreme Kai's lifespan is about 20 million years. I mentioned all this to remind Mr. Ren and Mr. Broly to be respectful when meeting the Supreme Kai, Meruz said, mostly addressing Broly through Ren. Can't fight? Broly scratched his head, asking curiously. Meruz. No fighting, Meruz said, wiping his sweat. Good thing I warned you. If you attack the Supreme Kai, that would be incredibly disrespectful. Also, I doubt you could defeat the Supreme Kai. But I won't say that to him. Better not provoke the legendary Super Saiyan. If he fights the Supreme Kai, it would be troublesome. Broly looked at Ren for approval. Listen to Meruz, Ren said, patting Broly's shoulder. Broly nodded vigorously, adding, if he's disrespectful to you, I'll fight. Meruz. Meruz held his forehead, feeling his earlier words were in vain. Broly, good job, Ren said, pleased. You can say 5 words now. Hehe, Broly smiled foolishly. We're almost at the Supreme Kai's planet, Meruz pointed to the distant planet. That was indeed the sacred world of the Kai. In the vast starry sky, a robot was traveling through space. Next to the robot floated a strange-looking person. This person was entirely red, less than a meter tall, with 2 sharp horns on his head, resembling a little demon from hell. The robot was light green, with a round head, giving off a strong mechanical vibe. Luke, the red demon spoke, is this the 7th universe? Yes, Master Muse, the robot nodded. I heard Beerus of the 7th universe is the strongest god of destruction. Is that true? The red demon, Muse, chuckled, looking at the robot. Yes, Master Muse, the robot Luke nodded again. Can you say something else? Muse said, annoyed. Thank you, Master Muse, for enabling my intelligence system, the robot replied mechanically. It allows me to speak. Humph, you should thank me. My father is the god of destruction of the 3rd universe, and even his robot doesn't have intelligence enabled, Muse said arrogantly, as if he had granted the robot everything. Thank you, Master Muse, for enabling my intelligence system, the robot repeated. Muse suddenly had a bad feeling. Hey, is your intelligence system malfunctioning? Muse asked urgently. Detected a different world, initiating breach, the robot suddenly said. What? A different world? Muse was stunned. The robot Luke suddenly extended his hand, shooting out a purple-red energy blast. Muse. Don't mess around, Muse's face changed. Do you want to destroy the 7th universe? This is bad, I shouldn't have enabled your intelligence system. You're not intelligent enough. Boom. As he spoke, the robot's purple-red energy blast shot out. With a thunderous explosion, the entire space trembled. The purple-red energy penetrated space, breaking through the void and entering the realm where the Supreme Kai resided. In the next moment, the purple-red energy rushed towards Ren's spaceship. What's happening? Meruz was confused. Ren was also surprised. It looks like destructive energy. But the strength seems average. Broly glanced ahead, looking puzzled but not too concerned. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ren and Meruz acted simultaneously. They both shot out angelic power. The angelic power quickly penetrated the spaceship and enveloped the purple-red energy outside. Smack! The angelic power covered the purple-red energy, instantly disintegrating it. In just a few seconds, the purple-red energy completely dissipated. Yesterday's votes were strong. Although the ranking only improved a bit, persistence will get us into the top 10. Keep voting and supporting, and maybe some rewards too. Chapter 69, I am not someone you can afford to provoke. What happened? Ren asked. I'm not sure, but there's a good chance that a god of destruction passed by and accidentally broke into the sacred world of the Kai, Meruz speculated. He quickly operated the spaceship's controls, bringing up several images. Click. One of the images is displayed in front of Ren and Meruz. In the image, Ren saw a red-faced imp and a strange-looking robot. Ren's expression changed upon seeing the robot. Isn't that Moscow, the god of destruction from the third universe? What is he doing in the seventh universe? And that red imp, I remember he's the one controlling Moscow. His name is Mule. That's not a god of destruction, just an artificial intelligence robot, Meruz mused. Not a god of destruction? Ren asked directly. The purple-red energy felt similar to Lord Beerus's destructive energy. It's indeed not a god of destruction. Look closely at their clothes, they don't match the style of a god of destruction, Meruz shook his head, quickly making a judgment. What are they up to? Ren muttered. Whoosh. As they spoke, Mule and the robot broke through space and quickly approached the spaceship. System restore, the robot's voice echoed. Damn it, the system malfunctioned at a critical moment, Mule grumbled, can you fix yourself? Attempting repair, the robot repeated, its head's lights flashing, focusing on the spaceship. I noticed that spaceship earlier. I wonder who it belongs to, Mule mused. Remove the spaceship's chip to repair my system. Remove the spaceship's chip to repair my system. Remove the spaceship's chip to repair my system. The robot repeated the same command 3 times. This is ridiculous. Fine, let's do as you say, but the people on that spaceship are going to have a bad day, Mule said indifferently, laughing. My Luke is more important. They should be honored to contribute to him. Since Ren's spaceship remained stationary, floating in place, Mule and the robot quickly approached and knocked on the door. Meruz pressed the button to open the door. Click. The spaceship's hatch opened. Mule and the robot walked in. And you are? Meruz stepped forward and asked politely. Jiku, the robot made strange noises. Kid, I'm here to requisition your spaceship's chip for my Luke, Mule ordered imperiously. Requisition our spaceship's chip. Meruz wiped his sweat. That's right. Mule nodded. My robot Luke's system malfunctioned, so we need your chip to repair it. Although your technology is mediocre, your spaceship's chip is just right for my robot. Ahem, may I ask your name? Meruz asked politely. Ren and Broly sat on the side, watching the commotion without intervening. This is Meruz's problem to handle. I'm sure Meruz will take care of it. Don't worry about my name, stop wasting time, and give me your spaceship's chip, Mule said impatiently. Meruz. The problem is, if we give you our chip, our spaceship can't autopilot anymore and we will need to manually navigate back to our base, Meruz explained politely. You can manually navigate back, that's fine. I'm not destroying your spaceship, Mule snorted. Hurry up, I don't have time to argue. Jiku, the robot made more strange noises. This robot, which could speak before, seemed to have malfunctioned and couldn't talk anymore. Sorry, but we can't comply with your request, Meruz shook his head decisively. This spaceship was a reward from the Galactic King. So, you're saying no? Is that it? Mule's expression turned icy. However, I can help repair your system, Meruz offered kindly. Ren was speechless. Angels sure have a good temper. That guy's practically on your head, and you still want to help him fix his system? I don't get your thinking. Repair the system? Humph, that's unnecessary. Mule sneered. I'll say it one last time, give me your spaceship's chip. This is an order, not a request. Meruz was at a loss for words. As for your so-called Galactic King, he means nothing to me, Mule said disdainfully. Please, watch your words, Meruz frowned. As a trainee angel, Meruz always had a good temper. But today's situation was testing his limits. The Galactic King was someone Meruz highly respected. And now this red-faced imp says the Galactic King means nothing. This is just bullying. What? You disagree? Mule sneered. Do you know who I am? I wanted to know before, now I don't care, Meruz took a deep breath and gave the order, you're not welcome here, please leave. Oh? Do you know who you're talking to? Mule's smile grew colder. You better not provoke me. I'm not someone you can afford to provoke. Even if I kill you, you have no right to complain. Meruz. Meruz was on the verge of tears. Shouldn't we fight? Broly couldn't hold back anymore, scratching his head in confusion. Go ahead, Ren patted Broly's shoulder. Broly, who had been itching for a fight, brightened up at Ren's command. He lunged towards Mule like a released beast. Smack! Broly grabbed Mule's head and slammed him against the spaceship's wall. Chapter 70, The Robot from the Third Universe. Don't damage the spaceship, Ren quickly instructed. Okay, Broly turned sharply just before crashing into the spaceship's wall. Whoosh! Broly, gripping Mule's head, flew out of the spaceship and into the space of the sacred world of the Kai. The space of the sacred world of the Kai is similar to the vacuum of space in the universe. Therefore, Broly can survive here. Jiku Jiku. The robot turned its head to look at Mule but remained motionless. Boom! Ren kicked the robot, sending it flying out of the spaceship. Meruz. So wild. But, for some reason, seeing Broly and Ren take action feels somewhat satisfying. After kicking the robot out, Ren also left the spaceship, entering the space of the sacred world of the Kai. Meruz hesitated briefly before following them out, appearing next to Ren. Jiku Jiku. The robot stopped in mid-air, its head's lights flashing, but it showed no signs of counter-attacking. Ren approached the robot, examining the spot where he had kicked it and feeling surprised. Meruz, come check this out. This robot is really tough. I kicked it hard, but there's not even a scratch, Ren called to Meruz. Meruz. I used 80% of my strength, even Frieza would be dead if I kicked him like that, Ren remarked. Meruz approached and examined the spot where Ren had kicked the robot, touching it with his hand. Indeed, there was no scratch. The technology used to create this robot is indeed remarkable, Meruz nodded slightly. What material is this thing made of? Ren asked. It's likely a special alloy, incorporating various advanced materials, Meruz speculated. It looks similar to the robots produced in the Third Universe. Interestingly, the God of Destruction in the Third Universe is made from this material. Oh? The God of Destruction from the Third Universe? Ren asked, already knowing. Yes, Meruz nodded, analyzing further. This robot's body strength isn't quite at the level of a God of Destruction, but it rivals that of a trainee God of Destruction. But it's a bit dumb, Ren noted. These robots have a compartment in their abdomen. Once inside, you can control the robot, Meruz explained, pointing to a small door on the robot's abdomen. Open sesame, Ren joked. Meruz. It won't open, Ren said, thinking. Meruz covered his forehead, feeling speechless. I'll try using angelic power to open it, Ren said, channeling angelic power into his hand and covering the small door on the robot's abdomen. Jiku Jiku. The robot's headlights flickered. Click. The next moment, the small door on the robot's abdomen opened. Ren quickly glanced inside the robot. Inside, there was a comfortable seat designed to fit a person perfectly, but nothing else. The seat is a bit small, Ren shook his head, disappointed. I'm taller and more robust than that guy. It'll be cramped. It was likely designed to his proportions, Meruz laughed. I'll see if I can control it, Ren said, eager to try. Meruz did not object. Ren, instead of getting in, covered the robot's interior with angelic power, shining like stars. Jiku Jiku. The robot emitted strange machine sounds. Ren, what does this mean? Meruz asked, puzzled. Just cleaning it, Ren said. Meruz. Are you a neat freak? Okay, it's clean now, Ren nodded in satisfaction. I recently found that using angelic power to clean things is more effective than detergent or alcohol. Meruz was speechless. Do you use angelic power as a detergent and alcohol? I'm speechless. Ren, taller than Mule, squeezed into the robot's interior, feeling a bit cramped but manageable. Click. Ren closed the door on the robot's abdomen. Instantly, a panoramic screen appeared before Ren, showing the surroundings, including the rear view. The screen was seamless, blending perfectly with the outside. Verifying identity. Verification complete. Initiating binding. Binding. 1%. A progress bar appeared on the screen. The progress bar moved quickly, advancing by 8% per second. Ren was puzzled. Weren't you verifying my identity? And you're done? Ren quickly realized. The robot's chip must be malfunctioning, skipping the identity verification and directly binding to a new user. No wonder that red-faced guy wanted to requisition the chip from Meru's spaceship. Binding. 90%. In no time, the progress bar reached 90%. Feeling anything, Ren? Meru's waved his fingers outside, calling to Ren. Binding complete. The screen displayed a message and a voice prompt. Ren felt a sudden integration with the robot as if he and the robot were one. Every movement in his consciousness translated to the robot's actions. To Ren's surprise, the robot's interior suddenly felt more spacious. Ren tried controlling the robot to punch. Whoosh! The robot threw a punch at Meru's. The punch was swift, carrying immense power. Swish! Meru's, a trainee angel, easily sidestepped the robot's attack. While testing the punch, Ren was shocked to find the robot could amplify his strength by at least 50 times. Ren was astounded. A 50-fold increase in strength. This rivals a Super Saiyan transformation. Ren proceeded to launch a series of combo attacks at Meru's. Chapter 71, 50-fold increase. Ren, are you alright? Meru's dodged swiftly, asking with concern. I'm fine, Ren replied, ceasing his attacks. Meru's. You gave me a fright. I thought you had lost control. What just happened? Meru's asked curiously. Nothing major. Somehow, I got bound to this robot, Ren answered honestly. Meru's was speechless. You wouldn't believe it, but my power inside this robot has increased at least 50-fold, Ren remarked. 50-fold? That's impressive, Meru's acknowledged. The impressive one is you. Even with my power increased 50-fold, I couldn't land a hit on you, Ren chuckled inside the robot. The robot's mouth emitted a series of mechanical laughs. This robot is pretty good, but it seems to have some issues. I'll try using angelic power to repair it later, Ren mused, glancing into the distance. Is Broly still not done with his fight? That guy is no pushover. Meru's remarked, looking toward the distant battle. Yeah, he's tough, Ren nodded. At that moment, Broly was slamming Muse's head into a distant asteroid. Muse let out a series of painful howls. Screech! Broly pressed Muse's head against the asteroid, creating a long, deep groove on the surface. Soon, Broly had dragged Muse around the entire asteroid, leaving a continuous mark. It's overlapped. Broly released Muse, scratching his chin in deep thought. Muse rubbed his head, wobbling as he stood up. Who did this? Broly pointed at the overlapping marks, giving Muse a heavy slap. Muse saw stars, feeling disoriented. Speak! Broly slapped Muse's face again. Ah! Muse, enraged, charged at Broly with his sharp horns. Broly, seemingly foolish at times, showed his intelligence in battle. Catching the incoming horns with his hand, Broly firmly grasped one of the horns. Bang, bang, bang! Broly swung Muse by the horn, smashing him back and forth. After a minute, Muse lay sprawled on the ground, too exhausted to stand. Speak! Who did this? Broly pointed at the overlapping marks, squatting beside Muse. You did. Muse answered weakly, knowing he would be beaten if he didn't answer. You're lying. Broly snorted. I'm not lying. You pushed me around the asteroid, so it overlapped, Muse whimpered. Your horns are tough, Broly said, poking Muse's horn. Muse. Why do you change topics so quickly? What are they made of? Broly asked again. Muse didn't want to talk anymore. Just kill me already. Speak. Broly slapped Muse again. They grew naturally. Muse replied, grinding his teeth in anger. I underestimated you. I didn't expect this Saiyan to be so strong. If only I had entered Luke's body. Then you wouldn't stand a chance. I need to get back to Luke and enter his body as soon as possible. Smack. Just then, Ren, controlling the robot, descended from the sky, landing beside Broly. Seeing the robot, Muse's eyes lit up with excitement. My Luke is here. This is great. It's like a miracle. Once I enter Luke's body, I'll gain over 50 times my strength. I'll tear this tailed monkey apart. You beat me badly earlier. Broly glanced at the robot and Meruz but didn't say anything, looking around as if searching for Ren. Ren remained silent for the moment. Ha 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 ha. Muse laughed loudly. Pulling out a silver metal ball resembling a glass orb, Muse declared, "Wait and see. I'll make you wish you were dead." Muse threw the metal ball to the ground. Broly looked at it curiously, not understanding what it was. "That's a flashbang," Meruz quickly identified. "A flashbang?" Broly scratched his head in confusion. Boom! As Broly spoke, the metal ball emitted a blinding white light. Caught off guard, Broly's vision went white, seeing nothing but bright light. Instinctively, Broly covered his eyes, waiting for his vision to recover. As an angel trainee, Meruz wasn't affected by the flashbang. Inside the robot, Ren only saw the screen flash briefly, nothing more. This robot is impressive. It can block a lot of damage. Ha ha ha. You deserve it. You can't see anything now, can you? Muse laughed maniacally. But I can see perfectly. Muse flew towards the robot. Luke, open the door. Muse commanded. Thud. Muse flew headfirst into the robot's abdomen, his head spinning with dizziness as stars danced before his eyes. Plop. Muse slid off the robot, looking up in confusion. What's going on? Why isn't the door opening? Luke always obeyed my commands. Why isn't it working now? This is a significant malfunction. I shouldn't have activated his AI. That caused all these problems. Luke, open the door. Let me in. Muse shouted again. Click. The robot's abdominal door opened. Muse's eyes brightened, quickly flying toward the robot. But as he reached the door, a large foot flew at his face. Bang! Ren kicked Muse in the face, sending him crashing to the ground. Chapter 72, Broly tears someone apart again. Broly's vision gradually cleared, and he glared coldly at Muse. You dare trick me? Broly's expression grew increasingly menacing. Muse stared in shock at Ren inside the robot, then turned mechanically to look at Broly. How can this be? How are you inside my Luke's body? Muse was incredulous. Before Muse could say more, Broly grabbed his left leg with one hand and his right leg with the other. What are you doing? Muse suddenly had a bad feeling. Do you know who my father is? My father is Moscow. Wait! Meruz exclaimed in alarm. Ryeb! With a powerful tug, Broly tore Muse in half. Boom! Broly then opened his mouth wide, releasing a powerful blast of energy that completely obliterated Muse. Meruz! Sweat dripped down Meruz's face. Humph! Broly snorted, giving Meruz a sideways glance. You told me to wait? No way! Do you think you're Ren? This is troublesome, Meruz muttered, half laughing, half crying. I had a feeling I was right. His father is Destroyer Moscow. The son of the Destroyer of Universe 3 came to our universe to show off and insult a trainee angel. That's his misfortune, Ren said nonchalantly. After all, Meruz was involved in this so that he could take the blame. I doubt Moscow would dare to lay a hand on Meruz. Meruz was speechless. After a brief silence. If Moscow finds out, he'll definitely hunt down Broly, Meruz said, wiping his sweat. Then let's not let him find out, Ren suggested. You're right, we'll have to cover this up, Meruz agreed. Ren! I thought you'd say we should confess our mistake. Didn't expect angels could be this devious. Moscow? Is he powerful? Broly asked, looking puzzled. Right now, you are far from his match, Ren confirmed. What about this? Broly's body flashed with a golden light. Ren shook his head. Broly scratched his head, determination flashing in his eyes. At that moment, Broly desperately wanted to become stronger. Meruz suddenly felt that many things had spiraled out of control ever since he met Ren and Broly. First, Frisia's son, Eyes, was torn in half. Frisia's son being torn in half was one thing since he was just a mortal. But now, the son of Destroyer Moscow had also been torn in half by Broly. This was more problematic. Frisia's issue could be resolved by asking the Supreme Kai for help. But the son of Destroyer Moscow, that's not so easily solved. Should we involve the Grand Priest over something like this? Meruz's head throbbed. Thinking it over, Meruz made a quick decision and said to Ren, let's deal with this robot first. It probably has a tracking system and recording functions, which might transmit footage back to Universe 3. That's easy, let's destroy those systems, Ren said, flying out of the robot and covering it with angelic energy. Meruz didn't know what to say. Isn't this approach a bit too crude? After a brief silence. I'll help you, Meruz said, joining Ren and releasing his own angelic energy. I'll join too, Broly said, flying over. Stand back. Ren ordered. What are you trying to do here? Can you even handle this? Broly scratched his head and obediently stepped back. With both Meruz and Ren using their angelic power, they thoroughly cleansed the robot's internal tracking and recording systems. Alright, that should take care of it, Ren said, smiling in satisfaction. Meruz had a complicated expression. Why do I feel like, as a trainee angel, I'm helping you do something shady? Is this really appropriate? Forget it, there's no other way. After all, this mess started because of me. Don't blame yourself, Meruz, Ren comforted. It's not your fault. Meruz. How am I supposed to respond to that? Think about it, he was the one who provoked us, right? Ren continued. You have a point, Meruz nodded seriously. But, speaking of which, when that red demon dies, won't his soul go to the underworld? Ren mused aloud. Meruz wiped his sweat silently. Are you planning to destroy his soul? Meruz didn't even dare think further. Can you take me to the underworld? Ren suddenly asked. Meruz was at a loss for words. So, you really do intend to destroy his soul? This might not be a good idea, Meruz said, nearly in tears. He was already killed, and with my current abilities, I can't bring him back to life. But a true angel can revive him. If his soul is destroyed, not even a true angel can bring him back. So if we find his soul, Moscow will still find out who killed him, right? Ren asked. Meruz. For me, it doesn't matter. He might not be able to find me, Ren added. But for you, it's different. Your spaceship is too conspicuous. It'll be easy for him to trace it back to you and the Galactic Patrol. Then what? How will you continue your training in the Galactic Patrol? Will you reveal your true identity? Meruz was troubled by Ren's words. Ren waited silently for Meruz to make a decision. After a long 20-second pause, Meruz finally decided, taking a deep breath and gritting his teeth, alright, we can find his soul, but we can't kill it. I'll personally take care of it. Alright, Ren agreed. I'll handle this alone. You don't need to get involved, that way, if Moscow finds me, given my status, he likely won't say much, Meruz said, besides, as long as his son's soul is intact, he can be revived. Just make sure to use angelic power to wash his brain, so he forgets how he died, Ren added. Chapter 73, Broly, let's grab another one. Meruz twitched slightly at the corner of his mouth. You're ruthless. Can you really become an angel this way? However, Meruz thought this plan wasn't entirely bad. After all, if Ren or Broly provoked Moscow, it would severely hinder their future training. They might not even make it to becoming a true angel before Moscow caught and destroyed them. By the way, there's something I don't quite understand, Ren said. What is it? Meruz asked. The destroyer of Universe 3, Moscow, is also a robot controlled by a human, right? Ren inquired. Yes, that's correct, Meruz nodded slightly. Then here's the question. Ren pondered, is it the human or the robot that's the destroyer? Well, the robot is the destroyer. That robot's power boost is much greater, not just 50 times, Meruz replied. Of course, this is just my guess, as I don't know much about Universe 3. The robot's power boost is stronger. Ren fell into thought, his eyes showing a hint of greed. Meruz. Are you thinking of stealing the Moscow robot? Meruz asked, wiping his sweat. No, I was just asking, Ren shook his head. With my current strength, I can't possibly be his match. I know my limits. Meruz took a deep breath and nodded firmly. Glad you understand. So, the human controlling the Moscow robot isn't that strong, right? If we can somehow trick him out of the robot, we can defeat him. Ren asked again. Meruz was speechless. In the end, you still want to steal Moscow? Ahem, well, Maruz didn't know what to say. I'm just asking. Hopefully, he won't come after Broly and me, Ren said. He won't. I'll find a way to cover this up. Maruz exhaled a long breath and pointed to the spaceship in the distance. Let's head back to the spaceship first. Alright, Ren nodded and got back into the robot's body. Ren controlled the robot and headed towards the spaceship. Broly hadn't said a word the whole time, mostly because he couldn't say much yet, and he was getting impatient. On the way back to the spaceship, Broly suddenly tapped the robot's arm controlled by Ren. Ren turned to look at Broly. Grab. Broly suggested, his expression excited and eager. What? Ren didn't quite understand. This, let's grab another one, Broly pointed at the robot Ren was in. Ren. Maruz. Let's think about it. If he comes after us, we'll grab his robot then, Ren nodded. Okay. Broly nodded enthusiastically, looking forward to it. His eyes gleamed as he stared at Ren's robot. Maruz covered his forehead, feeling cold sweat trickling down his face. What kind of people are these? I'm speechless. Can you really defeat Moscow? Forget it, I'll leave it for now. I believe Moscow doesn't know about this yet. But before that, I should contact Universe 3's Angel, Campari, and inform him about this. Otherwise, Campari might easily find out what happened here. The three quickly returned to the spaceship. Ren didn't come out of the robot, remaining inside because it felt like the robot was part of his own body. And the seat inside was quite comfortable. The technology in Universe 3 is truly advanced. Zoom. The spaceship took off, heading towards the Supreme Kai's planet at high speed. Reaching the Supreme Kai's planet from here would take about 5 minutes. During the journey, Maruz went to his room, conjured his staff, and started a video call with Universe 3's Angel, Campari. Oh my, isn't this Maruz? Campari greeted me immediately. Hello, Mr. Campari, Maruz greeted politely. I've heard you've been training in the lower realms. How's it going? Campari asked with a smile. It's going okay. The Grand Priest sent me to the Galactic Patrol in Universe 7 to understand the good and evil of humans, Maruz replied. Campari didn't respond, knowing Maruz had more to say. Today, I truly witnessed the evil of humans, Maruz sighed. Oh? What happened? Campari asked. First, let me ask, is Moscow around? Maruz asked. Lord Moscow? He's not here, he's out on some business, Campari replied. That's good, Maruz sighed in relief. What you're about to say involves Lord Moscow, doesn't it? Campari suddenly had a bad feeling. Does Lord Moscow have a son? Maruz asked directly. Yes, he does. To be precise, he is Lord Myra's son, named Muse, Campari corrected. Maruz. Does it matter whose son he is right now? Maruz knew that Myra was the human controlling the Moscow robot. That person should look similar to the red demon torn apart by Broly. Did Mr. Muse go to Universe 7? Campari asked. Yes, and he's dead, Maruz replied. Campari. Campari was stunned, unable to speak. Dead? This news was too shocking. This is closely related to me. I contacted you, Mr. Campari, hoping that, Maruz hesitated, looking embarrassedly at Campari through the crystal ball. You want me to help cover this up, right? Campari asked with a smile. Yes. I'm sorry, Maruz apologized. I thought it was a big deal. No problem, I can handle it, Campari laughed, then turned serious. I know Lord Myra's son, Muse. He's always had a bad temper, always causing trouble. I figured he'd get into trouble someday. I just didn't expect him to provoke you. Well, Maruz didn't know how to explain. Another chapter update, make sure to keep reading. Don't let the book sit unread. Chapter 74, Meeting the Supreme Kai. You don't need to explain so much, Campari said with a smile, lowering his voice to ask, just to confirm, you didn't reveal your identity to Mr. Muse, right? That's correct. I only reveal my identity if it can't be hidden anymore, Maruz nodded. I already understand the situation. Don't worry about it, just do what you need to do. After all, we're all angels, right? Angels must help each other, isn't that right? Campari chuckled nonchalantly. Well, I also plan to find an opportunity to keep Myra's soul with me, or erase his memory, Meruz added. Campari fell silent. Are you really here to train with the Galactic Patrol? Why does it seem like you're covering all your bases? Oh dear, that would probably drive Lord Moscow crazy, Campari laughed. The conversation wrapped up, and both parties ended the call. Having resolved this complex issue, Meruz put away his staff and stepped out of his room. We are about to land on the Supreme Kai's planet, Meruz informed Ren and Broly. By the way, if the Supreme Kai is unreasonable, should we beat him up? Ren suddenly asked. Eager and ready, Broly clenched his fists and muttered, beat him up. Meruz. Ahem, don't worry, the Supreme Kai would never be unreasonable, Meruz quickly reassured. That's good, Ren nodded. Broly looked visibly disappointed. Meruz was genuinely speechless. Are you really that eager to beat up the Supreme Kai? Broly, this time we are meeting the greatest deity in this universe. We can't just tear people in half like before, Ren instructed, you've already ripped 2 people apart. Hehe, you flatter me, Broly scratched his head, slightly embarrassed. Ren felt a wave of emotion. Proximity to goodness influences one positively, while proximity to evil influences negatively. This kid Broly is becoming more like me. Meruz could hardly listen anymore. Is Ren really praising you? Supreme Kai's planet. Supreme Kai Shin was gazing into the distant stars, looking at a blue planet that had appeared in the vast sky. Through the blue planet, Shin saw a pink circular seal on a cliff. Sealed there was a demon named Majin Buu. Supreme Kai would often check on Majin Buu's seal to ensure there were no problems. As a result, he was completely unaware of the intense battle that had just taken place in the Divine Realm. Supreme Kai, is Majin Buu's seal still intact? Kibito approached respectfully. Kibito was the Supreme Kai's attendant and could also be considered his disciple. No issues, Supreme Kai smiled back. However, Majin Buu's seal is indeed a headache, Kibito admitted, slightly troubled. Yes, but for now, there is no danger leaving it on Earth. That area is rarely visited, so the seal won't be disturbed, Supreme Kai pondered. While they were talking, a spaceship suddenly appeared in the sky above the Supreme Kai's planet. Supreme Kai's eyes widened. Kibito was even more shocked, his eyes almost popping out of his sockets. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Am I seeing things? How can a spaceship enter the Divine Realm? Kibito exclaimed. It is indeed extraordinary, Supreme Kai replied, his expression turning serious. Who's here? Who has entered the Supreme Kai's realm? Kibito stepped back, ready for battle. However, Kibito couldn't understand how a spaceship could enter the Divine Realm. The Divine Realm is not a place one can just enter. The spaceship descended slowly from the sky, landing steadily on the ground of the Supreme Kai's planet. Who could it be? Kibito furrowed his brows. Should we go check it out, Supreme Kai? Supreme Kai didn't respond, instead, he flew up, his gaze fixed on the distant spaceship. Suddenly, Supreme Kai realized the spaceship looked familiar. Feels like I've seen it somewhere before, Supreme Kai muttered. Creak. The spaceship door opened. Meruz stepped out first. Ren and Broly followed behind. Originally, Ren wanted to step out while still in the robot, but Meruz stopped him. Meruz explained that they were going to meet the greatest deity in this universe, the Supreme Kai. It would be disrespectful to be in the robot. Ren reluctantly agreed and left the robot inside the spaceship. Their uniforms look like Galactic Patrol. Supreme Kai, Kibito suddenly realized. Yes, those are Galactic Patrol uniforms, but the 2 kids behind him look like members of Frisia's army, Supreme Kai analyzed. They might be Syuns, Kibito added, puzzled. How did Syuns end up with the Galactic Patrol? We will soon find out. They must be here to see me, Supreme Kai smiled confidently. Kibito remained silent. Meruz had already noticed the Supreme Kai and quickly led Ren and Broly forward. Ren and Broly looked around curiously at the surroundings. Divine Realm? Broly asked Ren. Yes, this is the Divine Realm. Take a deep breath and feel how fresh the air is, Ren replied. Broly took a deep breath and nodded vigorously. Ren also gained a deeper understanding of the Divine Realm. In the Supreme Kai's planet, there was a very comfortable feeling. If this world had spiritual energy, then the Supreme Kai's planet had the densest spiritual energy Ren had ever encountered. The divine realm was indeed extraordinary, with wild flowers and grass growing abundantly. "Shall we take it?" Broly suggested. Meru's almost tripped and fell. "Do you really dare to think about anything?" "We could consider it," Ren nodded thoughtfully. Meru struggled to keep a straight face. "Are you really messing around?" By this time, Meru's had led Ren and Broly to stand before the Supreme Kai. "Greetings, Supreme Kai," Meru's bowed respectfully. Ren remained still. Seeing Ren not bowing, Broly also stood straight. Chapter 75, Shin, a God of Destruction. Is he famous? Supreme Kai Shin looked at Meru's, then at Ren and Broly behind him, puzzled by this unusual group. Angels were always very polite. In theory, angels were the greatest deities in the universe. However, angels lived peacefully, adding Lord to the names of Supreme Kais or gods of destruction they met. Not only to Supreme Kais and gods of destruction but even to ordinary humans, they would add Mr. or Ms. to their names. Therefore, it was normal for Meru's to greet the Supreme Kai with respect. "You're with the Galactic Patrol, right?" Supreme Kai asked Meru's. "Yes, I'm Meru's from the Galactic Patrol." Meru's nodded respectfully and pointed to Ren and Broly behind him. "These two are Saiyans." "Nice to meet you," Ren extended his hand warmly to the Supreme Kai. Supreme Kai glanced at Ren, not showing any intention of shaking his hand. "You, shake hands?" Broly got angry. It was the first time he saw Ren reach out to someone, only to be ignored. Broly clenched his fists and glared at the Supreme Kai. "Broly, calm down. This is the Supreme Kai. We don't just fight everyone," Ren admonished. Broly scratched his head and nodded, smiling sheepishly. Supreme Kai glanced at Broly but didn't seem to take him seriously. Kibito also looked sternly at Broly. "What kind of attitude is this? How dare you speak to the Supreme Kai like that? How did you get to the Supreme Kai's realm? Humans shouldn't be able to enter this world," Kibito questioned. "Well, the Galactic Patrol and the Supreme Kai's realm established friendly relations about 10 million years ago," Meru's explained with a smile. "The former Grand Supreme Kai used to send dangerous criminals to the Galactic Patrol for imprisonment, which is why we can enter the Supreme Kai's realm." "So you know my master, the Grand Supreme Kai?" Supreme Kai finally smiled, asking kindly, "What brings you here?" "We have two important matters to discuss with you, Supreme Kai. We hope you can assist us." Meru's bowed again. "Go ahead," Supreme Kai nodded slightly. "The first matter, the Galactic Patrol accidentally killed Frisia's son, Whis," Meru's sighed. Broly pointed at himself, indicating it was his doing. Meru's glared at Broly. "What are you boasting about? Do you want more trouble?" Ren also gave Broly a look, signaling him to stay quiet. Broly understood and lowered his hand, looking a bit disappointed. "Frisia's son, Whis." Supreme Kai was slightly taken aback. "I did hear Frisia had a son, supposedly in stasis on the frozen mother star. Has he been released?" "Yes," Meru's nodded. "After being released, Whis tried to invade our Galactic Patrol territory but died miserably, torn in half," Ren vividly described. Meru's. "Can you not interrupt me like this? But dying before his mission is quite fitting." "Torn in half?" Supreme Kai was stunned. Kibito, somewhat shocked, asked, "Who was so powerful?" Broly was about to point to himself again, but seeing Ren's look, he lowered his hand, looking a bit dejected. "It doesn't matter," Ren waved it off. "Meru's means that we've angered Emperor Frisia, and we hope the Supreme Kai can mediate. We wish to live in peace. Frisia can continue to rule his part of the universe, and the Galactic Patrol can continue our activities in the Northern Galaxy." Ren paused slightly. "Isn't that right, Meru's?" Ren asked. "Yes," Meru's nodded. "We request the Supreme Kai's assistance." "Sure, I've been monitoring the universe's peace all these years and have overlooked Frisia. He's done many evil deeds, and it's time to take action," Supreme Kai readily agreed, smiling. "We just need the Supreme Kai to warn Frisia. There's no need to eliminate him now," Meru's quickly added. "Do you mean to imprison him in the Galactic Prison?" Supreme Kai asked. "No, since Frisia is working for Lord Beerus now, killing him might not sit well with Lord Beerus," Meru's explained. "Lord Beerus?" Supreme Kai was puzzled. Who is he? Lord Beerus is the god of destruction, Meruz replied, giving Supreme Kai a strange look. God of destruction. Supreme Kai was even more confused. What god of destruction? Kibito asked. Don't you know? Meruz was speechless, explaining briefly, the universe requires creation and destruction. They are inseparable. Thus, the Supreme Kai and the god of destruction's lives are linked. If one dies, the other also perishes. Supreme Kai. Kibito's eyes widened, struggling to follow. After a long 20-second silence, Supreme Kai and Kibito exchanged glances. Then, Kibito burst into laughter. You Galactic Patrol are hilarious. Are you saying that this Beerus guy and the Supreme Kai share their lives? If Beerus dies, our Supreme Kai also perishes. Kibito scoffed. Meruz. Did you just call Lord Beerus an idiot? Meruz, do you have a recording device? Ren suddenly asked. No, why? Meruz wiped his sweat. One unreliable guy is enough. Do you want more trouble? Do you want to record this and send it to Lord Beerus as a keepsake? There's another chapter coming this afternoon. Chapter 76, The Greatest God and the Mightiest God. It's a pity. If Lord Beerus knew someone called him an idiot, I wonder if he'd have nightmares, Ren mused. Meruz decided to stay silent. So, tell me, this Beerus guy, how strong is he? Kibito asked. If the Supreme Kai is the greatest god in this universe, then the god of destruction is the mightiest, Meruz replied honestly. The god of destruction's power is immense. When he acts, no one can stand against him. Meruz was being modest, of course. His brother, Whis, could easily defeat Beerus. However, angels were always humble so that he wouldn't mention Whis at this moment. Supreme Kai fell silent. Kibito was slightly stunned. They exchanged another glance. What about compared to Majin Buu? Supreme Kai asked Meruz suddenly. Of course, it's no contest, Meruz replied without surprise. Let me put it this way, if Lord Beerus really wanted to, he could blow Majin Buu to bits with a fart, Ren added. Supreme Kai. Kibito. Both of them chuckled, then looked at Ren and Meruz as if they were fools. Another moment of silence. I can handle the matter with Frisia's son for you, Supreme Kai said calmly, looking at Meruz. As for this god of destruction, I'll treat it as a story. Humph, you don't know your place, Kibito snorted. In this universe, the Supreme Kai is the strongest. If the Supreme Kai can't handle someone, it means the universe is doomed. Meruz quietly wiped his sweat. Meruz, he doesn't believe you, Ren whispered to Meruz. I guess the Grand Supreme Kai didn't pass down all his knowledge before he died, and Lord Beerus spends most of his time sleeping. They probably never interacted, Meruz said, frustrated. Let's discuss the second matter, Supreme Kai urged. The second matter, Meruz looked at Ren. Meruz knew this was just a formality. It was to make Ren realize how challenging it was to cultivate angelic power and to appreciate his upcoming encounter with Sister Vados. Ren. You want me to ask him about angelic power? Ren sighed. Yes. Since the Supreme Kai is the greatest god in this universe, Meruz forced a smile and nodded. He doesn't even know about the god of destruction. How would he know about angels? Ren retorted. Well, Meruz was at a loss for words. Angel? You mean the fictional winged beings from the human world? Supreme Kai laughed. Meruz. Ren had already known how clueless the Supreme Kai was, so he wasn't surprised. At that moment, Supreme Kai added. There's nothing I don't know, Supreme Kai said confidently. Ren. Meruz quietly wiped his sweat. You don't even know about us angels yet claim to know everything? Meruz was at a loss for words. It was the first time he realized how ignorant the Supreme Kai of their universe was. Broly couldn't take it anymore. Who am I? Broly pointed to himself and asked Supreme Kai. Supreme Kai. Supreme Kai glanced at Broly but said nothing. Do you need the Supreme Kai to tell you that? I can tell you right here. You're a Saiyan, am I wrong? Kibito scoffed. You missed a few words, Broly shook his head. Kibito was puzzled. I am the legendary Super. Broly struggled to get the words out in one breath and then changed, I'm the Legend Super. What nonsense is this? I don't have time to play with a kid like you. Kibito frowned, scolding. Broly clenched his fists, looking at Ren eagerly. If Ren gave the nod, Broly would rush over and give this guy a good beating. Broly, calm down, Ren soothed. You get angry too easily. If you can maintain a calm mind, you might be able to transform without losing control in the future. Calm. Calm. Broly repeated, thinking Ren was right. Ren, since we're here, we might as well ask. Maybe the Supreme Kai does know, Meruz urged insincerely. Ren. I really don't get what you're trying to do. Why do you think the Supreme Kai would know how to purify angelic power? Why not just take me to Whis directly? So, what problem do you need my help with? Supreme Kai asked Ren, smiling. With my abilities, I should be able to solve a human's problem. Ren sighed like a little adult and raised his right hand. Boom! A fist-sized ball of angelic energy appeared in Ren's hand, shining like a star. This, Ren said, tossing the ball of energy to Supreme Kai. Supreme Kai? You're feeding a dog? Supreme Kai frowned but reached out to try to control the incoming energy. However, as soon as Supreme Kai's hands touched the angelic energy, it slipped through his fingers and fell to the ground. Supreme Kai's expression froze. What kind of energy is this? Why can't I hold it? This is embarrassing. Kibito was also puzzled. Why didn't the Supreme Kai catch it? Was he distracted? Meruz quietly wiped his sweat. You're making the Supreme Kai lose face. Meruz snapped his fingers. Boom! The angelic energy flew back up from the ground and returned to Supreme Kai's hands. As expected of the Supreme Kai, easily controlling this energy, Kibito said, trying to cover up the awkwardness. However, Kibito's words only made Supreme Kai feel more embarrassed. Chapter 77, Go easy this time, no more tearing people apart. Supreme Kai quickly changed the subject, pretending to study the angelic energy in his hand. In reality, it was Meruz who was secretly controlling the energy. Without Meruz's control, or if Ren didn't control it, the angelic energy would have already flown away on its own. This is indeed a peculiar energy. As for the problem, it's quite hard to control, Supreme Kai said thoughtfully, examining the angelic energy. My energy is rather impure. Do you have any way to purify it? Ren asked casually. This question, Supreme Kai was stumped, staring blankly at the strange energy. It's all right. I'll figure it out later, Ren decided to give Supreme Kai some face. After all, Ren knew that Supreme Kai definitely didn't understand angelic energy. The Supreme Kai of Universe 7 didn't even know the God of Destruction, let alone angels. Asking was a waste of time. But Meruz, why did you have to go through all this trouble? Ren simply thanked him and gestured with his fingers to retrieve the angelic energy from Supreme Kai. The ball of angelic energy quickly flew back to Ren. See, Ren? Even the greatest god in this universe can't solve your problem, Meruz immediately seized the moment to teach Ren. So you must train diligently and think more about how to purify the angelic energy. I believe you'll find a way. I trust you, Ren. Keep it up. Ren looked at Meruz silently. Why are you looking at me like that? Meruz suddenly felt guilty. Meruz, did you go through all this trouble just to tell me that? Ren asked. Meruz. Was it that obvious? Meruz asked awkwardly. Are you trying to tell me to work hard and purify the angelic energy myself? Ren asked again. The problem is, even Brother Whis doesn't know how to purify it, Meruz sighed. Meruz, think carefully. I know you'll come up with a solution, Ren said, patting Meruz's arm. Meruz suddenly felt something was off. This is clearly your problem. Why are you asking me to help you solve it? When does the Supreme Kai plan to deal with Frisia's issue? Meruz quickly changed the topic. I'm free right now, so I'll handle it for you, Supreme Kai replied after some thought. Thank you, Supreme Kai, Meruz said gratefully. I'll go find Frisia and explain the situation to him, Supreme Kai said with a smile. Meruz hesitated. Don't worry, I promise not to kill him. Supreme Kai added. But you have to tell me where this god of destruction is. Since he's behind Frisia, I should meet him. Meruz thought about it and decided that it would be good for Supreme Kai to visit the god of destruction's realm. It would be a good opportunity for his brother Whis to explain things about the god of destruction to Supreme Kai. Meruz agreed readily. That's settled then, Supreme Kai said, satisfied with Meruz's response. His sharp eyes pierced through the divine realm, scanning the distant cosmos. In less than 10 seconds. I see him. I've found Frisia. I'll go meet him now, Supreme Kai said with a smile. Supreme Kai, let me go with you. Kibito requested. No need, Supreme Kai shook his head. I'll be back soon. Kai. Supreme Kai chanted, and a glow surrounded him. In an instant, he vanished from the spot. Broly's eyes widened in surprise as he looked around for Supreme Kai. But how could Broly possibly find Supreme Kai? Disappeared. Broly looked at Ren. Humph, never seen this before? It's called instant transmission, a special skill only the Supreme Kai can use, Kibito said proudly. Of course, as the Supreme Kai's disciple, I can also use instant transmission. Though not as well as the Supreme Kai. Instant transmission. Broly's curiosity was piqued. In simple terms, it means you can instantly travel from here to your former planet, Vegeta, Kibito boasted. Teach me. Broly said eagerly. Don't even think about it. Humans can't learn this skill. It's a divine ability, Kibito snorted disdainfully, his red face full of contempt. Broly fell silent. Don't worry, Broly. I'll take you to a place where you can learn instant transmission, Ren comforted him. Broly's eyes lit up, and he looked even more excited. You mean the instant transmission from Yardrat? Kibito chuckled. That kind of instant transmission can't compare to the Supreme Kai's. Say one more word, and I'll beat you up. Broly clenched his fists, threatening Kibito. Oh? Did I hear you right? You want to beat me up? Kibito laughed. Do you know who you're talking to? I may not be as strong as the Supreme Kai, but I'm his disciple and one of the greatest gods in this universe. You think you can challenge me? Broly immediately looked at Ren. Go easy this time. No more tearing people apart, Ren nodded slightly and reminded him. Broly's face lit up with joy as he charged towards Kibito. In the vast cosmos, Frisia's spaceship drifted through space. Inside the ship, Frisia sat in his hover chair, looking up at the stars outside the window. Babysitter Berry Blue stood by Frisia's side, straight as an arrow. Berry Blue, it's been days without news from Eyes, hasn't it? Frisia asked. Yes, Lord Frisia. It's been several days since we last heard from Lord Eyes, Berry Blue replied solemnly. I have a bad feeling. Could something have happened to Eyes? Frisia's brow furrowed deeply, and his tail swayed. Impossible, Lord Frisia, Berry Blue shook her head. The last place Lord Eyes went to was the Galactic Patrol's territory. There's no way they could be a match for him. Swish. As they spoke, the space around them distorted and rippled. Clang. Supreme Kai had used instant transmission and appeared near Frisia. Chapter 78, One glare from Supreme Kai and Frisia flies away. Who's there? Berry Blue was startled. Frisia narrowed his triangular eyes, coldly staring at Supreme Kai who had just appeared. Frisia. Supreme Kai shouted sternly. Who are you? Frisia asked. I am the Supreme Kai, Supreme Kai introduced himself. Supreme Kai. Frisia's expression changed slightly. Before working for Beerus, Beerus had specifically instructed Frisia, if you ever meet the Supreme Kai, do not harm him. Follow his orders unconditionally. Frisia found it confusing at the time, but he dared not disobey Beerus and had agreed. Moreover, Frisia had heard that the Northern Galaxy, where the Galactic Patrol was active, was under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Kai. This was one of the reasons why Frisia had never invaded the Northern Galaxy. Besides, the universe was vast enough, managing the territories he already controlled was already a monumental military task. Supreme Kai, what brings you here? Frisia had a bad feeling. I came here to inform you about your son Eyes, Supreme Kai said coldly to Frisia. Frisia's mouth twitched, and his unease grew. What you dread often comes true. Eyes. What happened to him? Frisia asked with a frown. Your son Eyes entered the Galactic Patrol's territory unauthorized, launched an attack, violated galactic peace, and I have killed him. Supreme Kai took responsibility, his face showing a sense of duty for maintaining peace in the universe. You. What did you say? Ice was killed by you. Frisia was furious, his face turning icy cold instantly. Yes, Supreme Kai nodded. If you seek revenge, come at me. Of course, you might not understand the gap between us. To me, you're just an ordinary being. Saying this, Supreme Kai glared at Frisia. Instantly, an immense invisible divine power enveloped Frisia. Boom! With a loud bang, the hover chair under Frisia shattered instantly. Caught off guard, Frisia was sent flying. Ugh! Frisia's body pierced through the spaceship, entering the vacuum of space. Due to the pressure difference, the spaceship's contents were rapidly sucked into the void of space. Berry Blue screamed as she was uncontrollably sucked towards the outside. Luckily, Berry Blue managed to grab onto a handle inside the spaceship, preventing herself from being sucked into space. Swish! Supreme Kai waved his hand towards Berry Blue, enveloping her with divine power. The spaceship stabilized. Berry Blue slowly descended, her face pale and soaked with fear. Frisia, as mighty as he was, had been sent flying by a mere glare from this Supreme Kai. Berry Blue rushed to the window, looking outside. What she saw made her soul almost leave her body. Frisia was floating in space, seemingly unconscious. Too strong. Is this the power of a true god? Even a galactic emperor like Frisia was no match before a god? Tell Frisia he better behave, or I won't hesitate to eliminate him, Supreme Kai said coldly, glaring at Berry Blue. Berry Blue immediately knelt down, kowtowing frantically. Consider yourselves warned, Supreme Kai said indifferently, his body becoming ethereal. Swish! Supreme Kai used instant transmission and disappeared instantly. Supreme Kai returned to the sacred world of the Kai in a blink. Upon his return, he sensed something was wrong. The green Furtsun was pressing Kibito's head into the ground, rubbing it frantically. Meruz and Ren were watching the spectacle. Supreme Kai was stunned. What's happening here? But soon, Supreme Kai was enraged. I helped you with Frisia, and you repaid me by bullying my attendant? How dare you? Supreme Kai roared, waving his hand as a powerful divine force struck Broly. Boom! Broly was hit and sent flying, rolling several times on the ground. Currently, Supreme Kai's power was about on par with Vegeta's during the Cell Games, slightly weaker than full power Goku. But handling Broly was more than enough. Ugh! Broly stood up, spitting blood, looking at Supreme Kai with surprise and joy. There's someone this strong? Whoosh! Without hesitation, Broly charged at Supreme Kai. Wham! As Broly charged, his body grew larger, glowing with golden light as he transformed into a Super Saiyan. In his great ape form, Broly transformed into a Super Saiyan, amplifying his power by 500 times. Currently, Broly's base power level is 3 million. This kid's power level often increases randomly. He doesn't even need to train to grow stronger. Ren sometimes felt envious seeing this. Truly, he's a legendary Super Saiyan. From 2 million to 3 million power level was a simple jump for Broly. But even so, Broly's amplified power level was only 1.5 billion. Right now, Supreme Kai's power level exceeds 10 billion. So handling Broly was easy. Wham! As Broly charged, Supreme Kai glared again. Instantly, a powerful divine force enveloped Broly. Boom! Broly was sent flying, rolling several more times on the ground. Once he landed, Broly gritted his teeth and struggled to stand up. You've gone too far. While I was dealing with Frisia, you were here attacking Kibito. Supreme Kai said coldly, his anger palpable. Sorry, Supreme Kai. This is a long story, Meruz quickly apologized. No need for explanations. You're not welcome here. Leave now. Supreme Kai said coldly, issuing an eviction order. I sincerely apologize for today's events. But didn't you say you wanted to meet Lord Beerus? Meruz tried to change the topic. Chapter 79, Can't beat Majin Buu, but can't handle a god of destruction? Supreme Kai didn't answer the question. Instead, he walked over and helped Kibito up. Kibito, are you alright? Supreme Kai asked with concern. I'm fine, Kibito nodded. In truth, Broly had shown restraint. Kibito only had some superficial wounds. But Broly, on the other hand, was severely injured, as Supreme Kai hadn't held back. After all, seeing his attendant being humiliated like that had made Supreme Kai furious. Broly had reverted to his normal state, lying on the ground, heavily injured. Just 2 glares from Supreme Kai had forced Broly to return to his base form. Broly lay there, staring at the sky, somewhat dazed. Swish! Ren's hand glowed with divine energy as he quickly covered Broly, healing him. Get up, train hard, and you'll get your chance for a rematch, Ren encouraged. I'll get my revenge. Broly's eyes lit up, and he sprang up feeling his body fully healed. Immediately, Broly glared angrily at Supreme Kai, eager to charge again. Not now, you're not strong enough yet, Ren stopped Broly. After being severely injured and then healed, Broly's power level had jumped from 3 million to 5 million. But even with this increase, transforming into a Super Saiyan would only bring his power level to 2.5 billion, still far below Supreme Kai's current level. What? Healing technique? You can heal? Supreme Kai asked, surprised, looking at Ren. Just a bit, Ren smiled. Supreme Kai's face darkened. Do you only heal your own people? Didn't you notice Kibito was injured too? Do you need me to heal him? Ren asked. No need, I can heal myself. Kibito huffed, releasing a healing glow that quickly covered him. Kibito's wounds were swiftly mended by his own power. Kibito, what happened? Why were you fighting? Supreme Kai asked curiously. Just a little sparring match. Don't worry about it, Supreme Kai, Kibito laughed. Ren looked a bit puzzled. Is this guy a masochist? After getting beaten up, he speaks so nicely. Alright then. Supreme Kai let it go, but his expression turned serious as he looked at Meruz. Where is this god of destruction? I'll go see him now. Are you planning to use instant transmission to get there? Meruz asked. As you can see, my instant transmission can reach any place I can see, Supreme Kai nodded. Just tell me the direction. It should be that way, Meruz pointed to a spot in the sky. Supreme Kai immediately looked in the direction Meruz pointed. In the vast expanse of space, Frieza was being picked up by Berry Blue and other subordinates. After 3 minutes, Frieza slowly opened his eyes and leaped off the bed. Lord Frieza, are you alright? Berry Blue asked worriedly. Where is that damn Supreme Kai? Frieza gritted his teeth, looking around. He's gone, Berry Blue replied. Just wait, I'll make him pay one day. Frieza was livid. Berry Blue remained silent, keeping her head down, not daring to speak. So, Aiz was killed by Supreme Kai? No wonder we haven't heard from him, Frieza clenched his fists, veins bulging on his forehead. No one dared to speak, everyone kept their heads down, not even daring to breathe loudly, fearing an outburst. Supreme Kai, I'll remember you. One day I'll settle this score. I, Frieza, will avenge my son. Frieza hissed through gritted teeth. Back on the sacred world of the Kai. A bit more to the left, yes, there. Supreme Kai, Meruz said politely. I see it. An upside-down pyramid-shaped planet. Is that where the god of destruction lives? Supreme Kai's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Yes, there's a castle there. Lord Beerus should be inside, Meruz explained. Supreme Kai focused on the castle. Soon, he spotted Beerus inside, sound asleep. A cat. Supreme Kai was surprised. Yes, that's Lord Beerus, our universe's god of destruction, Meruz confirmed. Is he the one behind Frieza? Supreme Kai huffed. You could say that, Meruz nodded. Meruz knew that before Beerus went to sleep, he had Frieza do some of his work, destroying specific planets. So, saying Beerus was behind Frieza wasn't entirely wrong. So all these problems in the universe are because of this guy. Supreme Kai realized. Meruz was at a loss for words. A brief silence followed. It's not exactly like that, Meruz shook his head. No need to explain. If I can't beat Majin Buu, do you think I can't handle some god of destruction? Supreme Kai huffed, his body becoming ethereal. Wait, Supreme Kai, Meruz's face changed. Are you planning to instant transmission to the god of destruction's realm? Take me with you. Ren's eyes also lit up. He considered rushing over to have Supreme Kai take him to the god of destruction's realm. But after a moment of hesitation, Ren held back. Supreme Kai's destination was likely Beerus. This guy might teleport right next to Beerus. I'd rather not go with him. What if he glares at Beerus? Beerus sneezes. The scene would be unbearable to witness. I'm not going there to die. Don't worry, Supreme Kai is the greatest god in the universe. Apart from Majin Buu, that god of destruction is nothing. Kibito smiled confidently, patting Meru's shoulder. Chapter 80, Shin and Beerus. Meruz was truly at a loss for words. Don't you and Supreme Kai know? In front of Lord Beerus, what is Majin Buu even worth? Even I, a trainee angel, am not necessarily a match for the god of destruction Beerus. I'm most worried about the Supreme Kai doing something excessive to Lord Beerus. That would be terrible. Just as Meruz finished speaking, the Supreme Kai had already used instant transmission and disappeared. Meruz awkwardly retracted his outstretched hand. Next, Meruz scratched his head, quickly considering whether to contact Whis immediately. The Supreme Kai went to the God of Destruction's realm. I wonder if Brother Whis will sense it. If he doesn't, and something happens to the Supreme Kai, it would be quite troublesome. Snap! Meruz made a decisive move, gently raising his hand, and a staff instantly appeared in his grasp. At this critical moment, Meruz couldn't care less about revealing his identity. Moreover, it would only matter a little if the Supreme Kai's attendants knew his identity. Broly rubbed his eyes in astonishment, looking at the staff that suddenly appeared in Meruz's hand, and began searching around his body. Where did this stick come from? Kibito was also slightly taken aback upon seeing the staff in Meruz's hand, a little surprised. What is that thing? Ren moved closer to Meruz and looked into the crystal ball on the staff. Hi, Whis, long time no see. Ren immediately waved and greeted Whis, who had just appeared in the crystal ball. Meruz was stunned. Whis also looked surprised. Both of them turned to Ren at the same time. You can see inside. Meruz turned his head and smiled wryly. Shouldn't I be able to? Ren asked. No. Meruz nodded, unless we allow it, not even Lord Beerus can see the scenes inside the crystal ball. Ren nodded. Meruz. Was that supposed to be an answer? My, truly impressive, Ren. I didn't expect you to be able to see me. Whis smiled slightly at Ren. You're too kind, Ren said modestly. There's nothing there. Broly circled the crystal ball, looking at Ren and Meruz curiously. Who exactly are you talking to? Why can't I see anything? Kibito, standing aside, showed disdain and didn't come over to watch the fun. Whis, did you enjoy the sausages last time? Ren asked. Do you want more? Ahem. It was pretty good, but I don't need any for now. Whis immediately replied, momentarily at a loss for what to say to Ren. After answering, he quickly changed the topic. By the way, Meruz, why did you contact me so suddenly? Ah, there's indeed something very important. Meruz slapped his forehead, hastily saying, the Supreme Kai might have already entered Lord Beerus's castle. It's worth noting that there seems to be a break in the Supreme Kai's heritage. He doesn't know about Lord Beerus and is even unaware of us angels. Oh my, is that so? Whis was slightly taken aback and immediately turned his head to look at the distant castle. Sure enough, Whis had already sensed the presence of the Supreme Kai within the castle. I'll go check it out. Whis told Meruz and was about to end the communication. Ren did not interrupt Whis at this moment. If something happened to the Supreme Kai, it would be quite troublesome. After all, the person the Supreme Kai was going to see was the god of destruction, Beerus. In Ren's mind, he even pictured a scene, the Supreme Kai glaring at Beerus, and Beerus sneezing back at the Supreme Kai. And then both disappearing into the storm. The imagery was too thrilling. God of Destruction's realm, Beerus's planet. Beerus's castle. At this moment, the Supreme Kai had already used instant transmission to appear beside Beerus. The Supreme Kai coldly looked at the sleeping Beerus and couldn't help but snort. Beerus was curled up, sleeping soundly, even snoring. Humph, who could imagine that this Catman is actually the mastermind behind Frieza, the Emperor of the Universe, the Supreme Kai muttered to himself, his gaze turning cold. As long as I eliminate you, this universe will move towards peace. I couldn't handle Majin Buu, but I can't kill you. The Supreme Kai became angrier as he spoke. Without any hesitation, he suddenly glared at the sleeping Beerus. Instantly, a powerful divine force quickly enveloped Beerus. Boom! Beerus's body immediately pierced through the wall behind him, flying out and drawing an arc in the air. God of Destruction, you're nothing special, the Supreme Kai sneered, showing a smug smile. I thought he was so impressive. Wasn't he just sent flying by my glare? Now he's probably on the brink of death, right? Thud. Beerus crashed onto the grass outside the castle, sprawling in all directions. But immediately afterward, Beerus turned over, stretched lazily, and continued sleeping in a different position. Where did that mosquito come from? Beerus mumbled in his sleep, suddenly blowing out a purple-red bubble. Whoosh! The purple-red bubble from Beerus's mouth suddenly whizzed towards the castle. The bubble's speed was incredibly fast, instantly passing through the hole Beerus had just made in the wall, and appearing inside the castle, flying straight at the Supreme Kai. Where did this bubble come from? The Supreme Kai was taken aback, snorting coldly, such a trivial trick, how dare you show off in front of me? Ha! The Supreme Kai swung his hands forward with a loud shout, covering the bubble with his divine power. However, it had no effect. The purple-red bubble got closer and closer to the Supreme Kai. What? How is this possible? The Supreme Kai's eyes widened in bewilderment. Just as the purple-red bubble was about to hit the Supreme Kai. Swish! Whis flew in swiftly from a distance, lightly swinging his staff, and hitting the bubble. What staff altered the purple-red bubble's trajectory? Boom! The purple-red bubble pierced through the castle's ceiling, wobbling as it flew into the sky. Pop! In the next moment, the purple-red bubble collided with a star in the sky. The star was destroyed in an instant, turning into nothingness and disappearing in the blink of an eye. The entire God of Destruction's realm immediately dimmed a few degrees.